Has the world known terror like this? And yet it wants more. Prepare to scream is shocking. It came from Mar-a-Lago.
Mr. President, you have something on your neck, sir.
It's probably nothing, sir.
So, sir, talk about Iran, or do you need a minute?
Science and running the most powerful country in the world. A living example of repulsion, grotesque excess, yet everyone too scared to stop him.
You've got this.
This is just a little rash, Donald, nothing to concern yourself about.
Loud, brassy, and young women's beauty brought it out of its lair. Old man's hubris gave it unmeasurable power. In this most terrifying science fiction adventure, it came from Mar-a-Lago.
Abusing a girl with Epstein while in the limousine. The files included a 1990 allegation of assault that resulted in multiple FBI interviews with the accuser. These are FBI files, government documents, the product of federal investigations conducted during the same period that Beatrice Kuehl says she was standing in a suite at the Plaza Hotel. And here is the detail from those files that connects most directly to what Kuehl just described. NPR confirmed that an FBI document obtained in the Epstein file release contains a quote from a conversation captured in FBI records about a 13-year-old girl at Mar-a-Lago, the same Mar-a-Lago that Epstein tried to bring Beatrice Kuehl to, the same Mar-a-Lago where Trump's friends, in the words of Marjorie Taylor Greene, were going to get hurt if the Epstein files came out. Now let's talk about Stacey Williams, because Beatrice Kuehl is not the only woman who describes this specific pattern at the same pageant in the same year. In October 2024, 1 week before Kuehl went public, former Sports Illustrated model Stacey Williams came forward. She alleged that Trump had groped her in 1993. She said Jeffrey Epstein had been present. She described it as a twisted game. She told The Guardian that Trump and Epstein had been really, really good friends and spent a lot of time together. Two women. The same year, the same pageant environment, the same description of Trump and Epstein working together, Williams going public first, Kuehl going public 1 week later, and in 2017, years before either woman went public, Epstein himself told journalist Michael Wolff that Trump had been his closest friend for 10 years. Trump's closest friend for 10 years. In Epstein's own words. And Trump in 2005 told Howard Stern on his radio show, On the Record, that he got away with going backstage when the contestants were naked at beauty pageants. His own words in 2005, before Beatrice Kuehl came forward, before Stacey Williams came forward, before the FBI files were released, before the Epstein files showed federal investigators looking at Mar-a-Lago connections in the 1990s, he said he got away with it. Not that it didn't happen, that he got away with it. Now let's talk about what Kuehl said about the threat, because this is the part that connects to something much larger. She said after the assault, after what she describes as a violent and terrifying experience in that suite, Trump threatened her. He told her bad things could happen. He told her to keep quiet. He told her the show must go on, and she kept quiet for decades because she was in a foreign country, because he was powerful, because she was afraid. That is not just one woman's story. That is the operating system of sexual predation in powerful spaces. The threat, the silence, the show must go on. The same logic that kept Jeffrey Epstein's victims quiet for decades. The same logic that kept Harvey Weinstein's victims quiet. The same logic that kept dozens of women silent about Donald Trump. Women who have now been documented by Wikipedia in a list of 27 or more accusers, all of whom Trump has denied, all of whom.
We're in the living room and there's like, it's like very big living room, but it's like super empty. And then there's just like one table and a couch and two chairs and like all over the table. Like, I am not kidding you. It was everywhere. Cocaine all over the table.
Guest is Victoria Drake. Victoria is a businesswoman from rural Illinois who became a well-known fixture at Mar-a-Lago and an insider at the levels of global power. Victoria says she was drugged, raped, stripped of her clothing and belongings, and imprisoned by Trump-appointed Ambassador Paolo Zampoli, the man who claims to have introduced Donald and Melania, the man who spent New Year's Eve at Mar-a-Lago at the president's table. She went to the hospital, she got the rape kit done, tests confirmed drugs in her system. Her injuries are well documented. She even got Zampoli on tape with NYPD's Special Victims Unit, and the case was dropped anyway because Zampoli claimed diplomatic immunity. While he was traveling with Vice President J.D. Vance aboard Air Force Two, he was reportedly desperately blowing up Victoria's phone at 3 a.m. Paolo Zampoli, the man who has the president's ear, the man meeting with world leaders, is accused of rape, and the fix might be in. Victoria Drake is unafraid, she's still here, and she's refusing to give up.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. It's just really important that I get my story out, and really appreciate the opportunity to have a platform to do so. Yeah, so essentially, for whatever reason, pretty much everybody I've ever dated, they've always been, very influential. They've always been pretty wealthy. I dated a guy all through the end of high school, all throughout college, and then we did end up getting married. His dad owned a very large bank, which had branches all over the country. So that kind of initially propelled me into this atmosphere. And like, I was young and naive. Like, I didn't even know like what money was, what influence that money could hold over people. Just the whole social atmosphere since I was so young. And so, like I said, we did end up getting married. We were married for about 11 months. I got married when I was 23, and I just decided, this is not going to work out for me. And at this point in time, I was living in Kentucky when he was going to grad school. He was becoming a periodontal surgeon. So it was going to be a long time that I had to stay in Kentucky, and Kentucky is just not the place for me. So after that, I did move to Chicago, is how I got into the Mar-a-Lago scene. So the first time, we went on a date, everything. Like, our first date was literally at Trump Tower. And like, looking back, his dad literally told me, he's like, yeah, he uses this as a way to see if you're going to be super liberal. If you agree to go on the date at Trump Tower, that's like the first threshold that you kind of have to cross. So made it cross the threshold. We had that date. And then I got to know his family fairly well, and very, very soon, actually, within like the first couple of weeks of us dating. So we made it official around August of 2019. From August to December of 2019, I was constantly going to different events, very social elite events. I remember the first event that I went to was like the release of the new Koenigsegg car model. So here we have like a multi-million-dollar car, and I didn't know anything about cars. Like, I drive an Audi. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. But so it was definitely a very different world. And then about 2 months in, I ended up, I flew on their private jet. Like you said earlier, I'm from rural Illinois. I had never been on a private jet, so it was a totally different world for me. Being able to have access to these people and just be involved in their inner circle, it was pretty crazy. From August to December of 2019, like I said, just constant events. But then the first time that I attended Mar-a-Lago was December of 2019. And that was for the New Year's Eve party. So I had flown down to his family's place, which is in the Palm Beach area, and we were staying there. And so that was the first time I attended. And at this given point in time, I'm a huge Trump supporter. I did vote for him multiple times, and the reason why I first voted for him, I was young, I was naive, I was straight out of college. Like my parents were like, okay, you should vote for him. So I did. And the second time, it was kind of like, I just, at this point in time, I'm like, okay, I'm surrounding myself with these people. I'm constantly at Mar-a-Lago. I should probably vote for him. But I didn't do my research, to be honest. And I really haven't started doing a lot of political research up until just like the past year or so. And now I understand like
Right.
the gravity of the decision that I made to vote for him. So I flew in early, and the first night that I met Paolo was on October 5th. And so that was, I believe it was a Thursday, and our friends were coming on Friday and Saturday. So on October 5th, I fly in. I believe it's around like 8, 9 o'clock. And I'm staying at my friend Becca's house this night. So she was living in Soho at the time. I go to her house, we get ready, we go to Zero Bond, and there's a bunch of junior UN ambassadors there. So Becca was a junior UN ambassador, and essentially it was a long table, and a lot of people, since we didn't get there until relatively late, a lot of people had already left. But at this point in time, there was 2 men, about 3 women, and then it was me, my friend, and then Paolo. He was sitting at the end of the table. So Paolo comes over and sits down, and like right when I'm walking into Zero Bond, like we lock eyes. And so he definitely recognized me. I mean, there's not a lot of young people at Mar-a-Lago. There's certainly not a lot of young blonde women that are 5'10" that wear heels at Mar-a-Lago. So he came down and he sat next to us, and he pulled up a chair, and he was like, hey, like I think I recognize you. Do you attend Mar-a-Lago? And I was like, yeah, I've been there, quite a bit over the course of, at that point, it had been about 4-ish, 5-ish years that I had been constantly attending. And so we start talking, we start making small talk, and we were kind of just speaking about like in terms of like Donald Trump. He's obviously very obsessed with Donald Trump, and he has 45, like I know I sent you the photos. He has 45 embroidered right here on his lapel of every single shirt that he owns. You can't make this up. This is insane. So,
True believer.
just very, very weird parasocial behavior, and to the point where it's an obsession. So everything is fine. We're just making small talk about like who we know, like our mutual friends, our mutual connections. And then everything was like relatively normal, right? Like there was no like alarms sounded. Like, okay. And so Zero Bond was closing early that night, and it was like a private event going on later that night. And he's like, okay, so everybody's welcome to come back to my place. I live relatively close. A lot of people are coming back. There's going to be a big after party there. And so my friend Becca and I go back to his house, and that is his diplomatic residency in Gramercy. So he calls his driver, either he calls his driver or he calls like a black SUV. I don't remember, to be honest. So at this point, the people that do attend his house after Zero Bond, it's me, 2 male junior UN ambassadors. They're like late 20s, early 30s, and then me and my friend Becca. So it's just the 4 of us and Paolo in the car. And so we go to his diplomatic residence. He is doing a lot of schmugs. I don't know if I can say that, but and so we're in the living room, and it's like very big living room, but it's like super empty. And then there's just like 1 table and a couch and 2 chairs, and like all over the table. Like I am not kidding you, it was everywhere. Cocaine all over the table. And so none of us are participating. None of us do drugs. None of us participate in consuming any substances like that.
Is he doing it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Over and over and over. Yeah, over and over. And I know that I sent you that photo, with his eyes rolled back in his head. That was post line. Yeah. And so after that, after he gets his little fix, he's like, oh, you guys want a house tour? And then this is where the 2 other junior UN ambassadors, the men, they end up leaving. They're like, hey, we have to work tomorrow. So my friend Becca and I, like, we had already taken off. Like we were not concerned about, waking up at like 5 a.m. So he gives Becca and I a house tour. He's walking around, shows us the security post room. And again, parasocial behavior. He thinks he's the president. On every single room that was of importance to him, he had a plaque. It was the security post, the ambassador's office, the situation room. It was just
so weird.
it was
So
insane.
weird. What a
And so
freak.
and that's why I started taking photos, because I'm like, this is insane. And then he leads us to the situation room, which is his office. And so it's like lit up in red, and it's like this plaque that says the situation room. You open the door. It is a shrine to Donald Trump. I kid you not. Like, I'm talking like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos, all lining every single corner, every single place there is a place for a photo to be. It's him, Donald, Melania, and then also sometimes Amanda. And I believe I did see a photo of him and Jeffrey Epstein. I would say the photos spanned from like early to mid 2000s up until like, obviously I was there in 2023. So they kept piling up. There's also like gold bricks on his desk. Like, everything was in gold. It was just unbelievable. So then that's when I'm like, okay, I need to start taking pictures. Like, this is crazy. After the house tour, it's getting late. A bunch of our friends are coming in the following day. And me and my friend Becca, we wanted to decorate my friend's like suite and the hotel room and everything for her party. So, we're going all out. We're doing the cupcakes. We get like little banners saying like end of an error, like ERROR, error. So we were just like decorating all day. And then that night when our friends fly in, we do go to dinner, and we end up going out. We go to gospel for a little bit, and I'm not like a big drinker by any means. And so a lot of my friends, I mean, everybody's celebrating, right? Like a lot of people are kind of getting a little intoxicated, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I was pretty much sober. I had like, I think 2 cocktails that whole night. And then, so we are at gospel, and a lot of my friends, and Paolo had been texting me the entire day, by the way, like constantly, like saying, I love you. Like, sir, we just had our first actual conversation face to face yesterday, and now you're saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, with like emojis and heart emojis. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Yeah. And so after we are at gospel, so we're there for a little bit, a lot of my friends, they had long travel days. They're like, hey, we're like gonna go back to our rooms. Like, you guys stay out, do whatever you want. And so then I'm with just my friend Becca at this point in time. And then Becca goes back to her place. She was not staying at the hotels because she lives there, and she was going back to Soho. So at this point in time, Paolo was still calling me. Like, I would say around like 9 p.m. that day, he started calling me incessantly. And finally, when everybody was like going home, I finally pick up. I'm like, what do you want? Like, what's going on here? I told you I was with my friends. Please leave me alone. And he's like, oh, I'm having an after party. We all went to Casa Cipriani. You should have joined us. And for those of you who don't know, Cipriani is owned by Giuseppe Cipriani. Giuseppe Cipriani and the Cipriani family, they are very close friends with Paolo. They're all from Italy. There's many Cipriani restaurants all throughout like the world and everything. So he's also obsessed with Giuseppe Cipriani. So they are leaving Cipriani, and he's like, hey, come over. There's going to be a ton of people from MIT, Harvard, a bunch of people from Mar-a-Lago that you know. And at this point in time, like, maybe it's because when I broke up with my ex, he was like, he basically insinuated that I would never be able to do anything without him. I would never be able to make social connections. I would never be able to be a part of social circles. And I'm kind of like, okay, that's fine. I never wanted that to begin with. That is not why I dated you. Like, I dated you because I actually liked you. It has nothing to do with that. Like, you were the one who pursued me. So after that, so it was just like in my head, I'm like, okay, so there's going to be a bunch of people from Mar-a-Lago that I supposedly know that are going over to his house for after Casa Cipriani. And so I say, okay, you know what? A lot of my friends are going home. I'm happy to come over for, just a little bit. Excuse me. So he calls me a car. He picks me up from Gospel. And from there, I go over to his house. There's not a lot of people there. There's two men that were like sitting in chairs, like on the far opposite side of the room. Like I said, the living room area was like very, very big. And they're sitting in these chairs, and they're essentially just like having a conversation amongst themselves. And Paolo comes down and gets me, and we're just sitting on the couch. And I'm like, hey, like, where's everybody at? Like you said that there's going to be a bunch of people from like MIT, Mar-a-Lago. All these people are going to be here. Where are the people? And I started to get uncomfortable, and I was like, maybe I should just leave. And he's like, oh, no. Like I left early, like, because it's my house. I wanted to make sure that I was here before people showed up. I'm like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. So then he pours me a glass of wine. He's just like, just stay, just relax. You're very uptight. So then I sit down on the couch. I have about half a glass of wine.
You go to the kitchen.
No, he went to the kitchen. Which, looking back, I should have known. But
it's like leaving your drink unattended in a bar. You just don't do it as a pretty girl or as anyone. Continue.
And so he comes back with a glass of wine, and I have just about half of a glass. And at this point in time, he's starting to do the drugs again, line after line after line, all over the table. And that's when I start getting really uncomfortable. But then I black out. And I black out, and I've been roofied before. I've been roofied 2 times before. I know exactly what it feels like. I did go to the hospital during these times. The first time, luckily, my then boyfriend, it was my freshman year of college, my then boyfriend was able to get me to the hospital, get me tested. Like, he took care of me. And it was, we believe, the bartender that did that on a college campus bar. And so after, like, when you have had this experience, it's like you're paralyzed. And especially when you're like pretty much 100% sober, and you feel so paralyzed. You can't move your arms, you can't move your legs. You literally see yourself looking down on your body, and you can't talk, you can't move, but you're very aware of what's happening. And that's the scariest part. Like, part of me wishes, I'm like, wow, I wish that I don't have these memories, but I do have these memories. And so it occurred multiple times that he was on top of me. I'm not sure if he, got off inside of me. And I will get to that point later, but it was multiple times over the course of the entire night. So I wake up the following morning. He's no longer in the room. And this room that I'm in, it's in the basement. And so the basement that I'm in, there's a pool, and then there's 2 bedrooms. And speaking to Amanda, I have a better idea of the layout of everything. There's 2 bedrooms, and I was in one of them. It was like the second bedroom on the left. And I was locked in there. And I didn't know where I was. I was so confused. My clothes were taken, my shoes were taken, my purse was taken, everything was gone. But luckily,
so you woke up naked in a drug haze, locked in a bedroom or a basement?
It was a bedroom in the basement.
Okay, so you were locked into the bedroom.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
And so I still am trying to figure out, and I have spoke with Amanda where this it was like a hidden elevator. So I do have my phone. My phone is on like 1%. My phone, I tucked it under the pillow. Magically, I don't know how I did that, but I did find my phone. And so I wake up, and then I'm frantic. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, my phone's on 1%. I don't have a phone charger. I don't have my clothes. I don't have shoes. I don't have my purse. I don't have anything. And so I find this elevator. Still to this day, I'm still trying to figure out where this elevator is. Amanda suggested that she thought it was, and Amanda never really went down to the basement much because that's where Paolo would bring his girls. When he was in a 20-year relationship with Amanda, he would constantly have prostitutes over, and he would have sex with them in that room in the basement, exactly where he brought me.